Hey, fifth graders, Mr. LeBlanc. We have been working on theme as our topic this week. Big idea, or if you're thinking of another way to think about a theme, would be the main message. So, the checkpoints that we want you to look for are what does the author want you to learn or know? Or a broad idea about life usually is a theme, and usually it's not stated, but it must be inferred. So, if we look at this very first passage, it is called the recital. Kira chose a difficult piece to play for the piano recital. Her teacher advised her to select an easier one, but Kira knew she could do it. Kira practiced every day after school. When her friends called to see if she could play, Kira told them that she couldn't and continued to practice. Even with all that practicing, a week before the recital, Kira still could not play the piece without making mistakes. Kara thought about giving up and switching to an easier piece, but instead she decided to double her practice time. The night of the recital arrived. Kara was the last student to play. As she walked onto the stage to take her place at the piano, she remembered the long hours she had spent practicing. Kara began to play. Her hands danced across the keyboard. She knew the piece so well. When the final note faded, the room erupted in applause. She had played the piece perfectly. Okay? Now, if we're looking down below, it says move the circle to select the theme of the story. So if we're looking back into the story, what was the main message or what was the big idea? So was the big idea A, it takes a lot of practice to play the piano? B, Kara practiced a lot and did well? Or C, persistence pays off. Persistence pays off. If you were thinking C, persistence pays off, you would have been correct. Okay, let's look at one more, and then you guys are going to practice 4 of these on your own in Schoology. Find the theme, it says, Kevin's book report. Kevin wasn't worried about his book report. He had 3 whole weeks to get it done. There was no reason to get started right away, especially when he had just gotten a new video game. The next day, Kevin thought about going to the library to pick out a book for his report, but decided to play with his friends instead. He could go to the library on the weekend instead. The weekend came, and rather than going to the library, Kevin spent the whole weekend at his cousin's farm. He didn't go to the library the next week either. There was always something fun to do instead. 2 weeks passed and Kevin still hadn't picked out a book. By the time he finally got to the library, there was not enough time to read the book and write the report. Kevin tried to write the report without reading the whole book, but it did not go very well. Kevin failed the assignment. So if we were looking at the theme of this passage here, or this short story, what do you think it would be? A, schoolwork is more important than playing. Don't put things off till the last minute. Or C, Kevin should have done his book report first. So what was the main message that the author was trying to portray? If you had selected B, don't put things off till the last minute, you would have been correct. Okay. Now there are 4 more passages like this down below. You are looking for the theme in all those passages.